Commanders Nation, get ready, because what I have for you today is absolutely explosive. We've got a defensive coordinator breaking down one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. A cornerback who left us and is now tearing it up with another team. And a situation that's gonna have everyone here wondering if we made the right calls. This is urgent, this is exclusive, and if you click away now, you're gonna regret it. Stick around till the end, because I promise what's coming is going to spark debate for days in this community. So let's get straight to the news. After years of watching this defense struggle against mobile quarterbacks, after entire seasons spent wondering if we'd ever get a defensive coordinator who really understood today's game, we finally have Joe Witt Jr. And let me tell you, when Witt Jr. speaks on Caleb Williams and the Bears' offense, I pay attention. Look, U.S. Commanders fans know what it's like facing elite quarterbacks in this division. We've seen Jalen Hurts carve us up with his legs. We've seen the Cowboys take advantage of our defensive weaknesses. But this thing with Caleb Williams is on another level. Joe Witt Jr. just gave an absolute masterclass of analysis when talking about the upcoming Monday Night Football game against Chicago. And you know what? Whenever a defensive coordinator dives into this much detail, it means he's getting ready to cook up something special. Witt Jr. literally said, "I think Ben Johnson is excellent. He does a great job testing your defense vertically and horizontally, and challenging your eye discipline. It's a whole different type of eye discipline game." You get what that means. Witt Jr. knows he's about to go up against one of the most creative offensive coordinators in the league. But here's the real plot twist. Witt Jr. isn't just zeroed in on Ben Johnson's system. He's obsessed with Caleb Williams as an individual player. Listen to this. He's got a super talented quarterback who can make every throw. He's elite when it comes to escaping and throwing on the run from different platforms. I'm telling you, when a defensive coordinator breaks out the word elite for a quarterback, that's real respect. Witt Jr. knows exactly who he's dealing with. And here's the part that's got me hooked. Witt Jr. explained, he doesn't have to be standing tall in the pocket. He can whip the ball from different arm angles, and doesn't even need his feet set to throw with pinpoint accuracy. You know how many quarterbacks in the NFL can do that? 3, maybe 4. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and now Caleb Williams is in there too. That's the level of talent we're facing this Monday Night Football. Now let me ask you this, is our defense ready to face a quarterback who can throw from any platform? Who can escape the pocket? Who's got one of the league's most creative play callers dialing up stuff just for him? I think so, and here's why. Joe Witt Jr. wouldn't lay out this much analysis unless he had a plan. When a coordinator talks with this much specificity about an opponent's strengths, it means he's already got answers in his playbook. Look at how Witt Jr. is prepping for this game. He's studying Williams' ability to slip away. He's breaking down those different arm angles. He's watching how Ben Johnson uses vertical and horizontal movement to stress defenses. This dude is doing his homework, and you know what's the most impressive part? Witt Jr. is openly respecting the quality of the opponent. He's not out here saying we'll clap them with nothing to back it up. He's giving credit where it's due, and that's how a grown coordinator operates. But here comes my real question. Can Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, and our defensive line bring enough heat to knock Williams off his game? Because it's one thing to have a plan, and a whole other to execute it against a quarterback at this level. I'll tell you this Monday Night Football matchup is going to be the ultimate test for this defense. If we can contain Caleb Williams, if we can shut down Ben Johnson's creativity, then everyone across the league will have to take us seriously. Remember when we went up against Jaden Daniels in practice every day? Well, Caleb Williams has a similar style, but in a completely different system. And that experience practicing against Daniels might just be our secret weapon here. Witt Jr. knows this isn't an ordinary defense. This is a unit with vets like Bobby Wagner who've seen it all in this league. We have guys who know how to adjust in real time whenever a quarterback breaks the pocket. The question is, can we keep gap discipline when Williams starts to run? Can our corners stick with their man when a play drags out? Because that is what separates good defenses from great ones. Do you all think Joe Witt Jr. has the right plan to stop Caleb Williams? If that surprises you, wait till you hear this. Hear this. Now let's talk about something that hurts, something that makes us question everything. Let's talk about Benjamin St-Juste. After years of seeing this team let go of players who then blow up somewhere else, after full seasons spent asking why did we let him walk, here we are again in the same spot. Except this time, it's a cornerback we developed ourselves. Benjamin St-Juste, the corner we grabbed in the 3rd round back in 2021. The same guy who caught heat from fans for being inconsistent, the same dude who never quite fit our system, is now straight up balling for the Minnesota Vikings. And when I say balling, I mean putting up stats that make any DC in the league take notice. Here's the FACTS. St. Juste has allowed a passer rating of just 43.1 when targeted. 43.1. You understand how wild that number is. For reference, that's up there with the best corners in the league this season. But hold on, it gets even better. St. Juste is giving up only 5.3 yards per catch. In a league where teams hunt for explosive plays through the air, this man is shutting the field down. He's making quarterbacks think twice before throwing his way. Let me ask you this. How does a corner who looked lost in our system all of a sudden turn into one of the best at his spot after jumping to another team? Here's what I think. It's two words: fresh start. Sometimes a player just needs a change of scenery. Maybe a different system that fits better, and clearly, Minnesota found the way to unlock everything in St. Juste. But here's where things get spicy. Did we mess up by letting him go? Look, I get why the Commanders made that call. We had Martian Latimore coming in, Mike Sainristil developing, and the front office felt like we could upgrade that spot. Now, was it the right move? Well, this is where things get interesting. On the one hand, there's no denying our current secondary isn't worse without St. Juste. Latimore is a reliable Pro Bowl level corner. Sainristil's had some serious flashes. Jeremy Chinn's been solid, but on the other hand, when you look at St. Juste letting up only a 43.1 passer rating, shutting down receivers week after week, finally reaching the level every scout saw during the 2021 draft, it's impossible not to wonder, what if we'd given him one more chance? And here's some context too many are forgetting. St. Juste signed with Minnesota for just $2.5 million. Read that again, $2.5 million. That's peanuts against the NFL salary cap. That's what teams pay for special teams dudes. Minnesota basically handed him a prove-it deal, a straight-up last-shot contract. And St. Juste responded like a true vet. No draft pressure, no sky-high expectations. Just playing football loose and confident, and you know what else is going right for him in Minnesota. He's not forced to be that guy in their secondary. He's got help. He's in a system built to support him. No heavy burden to be a day one third-round pick who has to deliver instantly. He's playing his role and thriving in that role. Now I ask you this, could we have created that kind of environment here in Washington, or did he just need to go in order to find his real level? Here's the truth, the Commanders made a business decision. They looked at the roster, saw where upgrades were possible, and decided St. Juste wasn't part of the long-term plan from a purely roster-building angle. That makes sense, but strictly from a player development angle, it stings to see someone we drafted, trained, and invested in find real success somewhere else. This same story happened with Chase Young, Preston Smith. So many guys leave Washington only to shine. Now, does this mean Minnesota has better coaching, a better defensive scheme? Not necessarily. It just goes to show different players thrive in different situations. Minnesota was clearly the perfect spot for St. Juste. Here's what's got my wheels turning. St. Juste's only giving up 5.3 yards per catch. When he played for us, that number was way higher. So the question is, what's Minnesota doing differently? Is it the scheme, coaching, or did St. Juste just grow up as a player? I think it's all of the above. St. Juste went to Minnesota with a chip on his shoulder. He knew this was probably his final shot to prove he belongs. When a player's got that mentality, when he's hungry, amazing things can happen. But credit where it's due, Minnesota's DC clearly saw something in St. Juste. He put him in the right spot, found the right role, and got the most from his talent. Let's swing back to Washington for a sec. Are we actually worse off without St. Juste on paper? No, Martian Latimore is a clear-as-day upgrade. Mike Sainristil's upside is bigger. Jeremy Chinn brings great versatility, but looking at those St. Juste numbers, seeing him locking dudes down, you just can't help but wonder a little bit, what if we'd kept him? Because those are elite cornerback numbers. That changes defenses. The lesson here for Washington is obvious. Player development matters. The right system fit matters. Sometimes it's better to stick with young talent and work through their struggles than chase pricey vets, but at the same time, let's not roast the front office. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn inherited a roster full of holes. They couldn't keep every young upside guy. Tough calls had to be made, and honestly, nobody in Washington is saying letting St. Juste walk was some massive screw-up. Our secondary might have been spotty at times this year, but it's not our top issue. We've got pieces there, but good for St. Justy. Seriously, good for him. Sometimes players just need a fresh start, a place where they can rewrite their story. And that's exactly what he's doing for Minnesota. Final question for you all. Would you rather have St. Justy back with these numbers, or are you good with our current secondary? Because that's the discussion we should be having as a fan base. You think we messed up letting Benjamin St. Justy go? That's nothing compared to what's next. Now let's hit on something crucial for this franchise's future. Let's talk about decision making. How do you build a winner in today's NFL? After years of watching this front office make questionable calls in free agency, after season watching other teams squeeze value out of guys we gave up on, we have to ask the hard question: are we actually evaluating talent the right way? St. Justy isn't some isolated case. This is part of a pattern that's haunted this franchise for years. Letting Preston Smith go and watching him blow up in Green Bay. Letting Chase Young walk, not a superstar, but growing into a nice player. Now St. Justy is shutting it down in Minnesota. So, let me ask, what's the common thread here? Is it coaching? Talent evaluation? Or do some players just need to leave Washington to reach their peak? Here's my answer. It's complicated. There's no single fix. It's a mix of organizational culture, coaching systems, scheme fit, and honestly, sometimes just bad luck with timing. But here's what's got me optimistic about where this franchise is headed. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn get something big. In today's NFL, you just cannot keep every player. The salary cap doesn't let you. Your 53-man roster doesn't let you. What you can do is get the most out of the guys you keep. And up to now, Peters has done a solid job at that. His free agent calls have been measured, his drafts promising. You can see the long-term vision. Now, is every call going to be the right one? Of course not. This league trips up even the best GMs. Bill Belichick let guys go who ended up making Pro Bowls elsewhere. John Lynch has blown picks. It's part of the game. But what sets the good organizations apart from the great ones is decision-making consistency. It's having a process, a clear set of standards for knowing whether to keep a guy or let him walk. St. Justy's case is a lesson. The front office looked at the roster, saw Marshon Lattimore as a clear upgrade, saw Mike Sainristil needing reps, and felt keeping St. Justy just wasn't worth the cost. That's a rational call, based on data, not emotion. Just because you draft a guy doesn't mean you keep him forever. But here's the problem. If a guy leaves and instantly blows up somewhere else, the whole story becomes Washington can't develop talent. That narrative, even if it's not always fair, still has some truth to it from the past. For years, Washington was the place careers went to die. A dysfunctional vibe where even top guys couldn't reach their ceilings. And even though Peters and Quinn are changing the culture, there are still scars. So when St. Justy heads to Minnesota and drops elite numbers, it's only natural for fans to wonder, why can't we get that out of our players? What does Minnesota have that we don't? Here's what I think. St. Justy needed nitrogen monoxide pressure, just a place to play free, here in Washington. As a third-round pick, there were expectations, pressure to produce. A spotlight. In Minnesota, he signed for just $2.5 million, basically a one-year gamble. No draft buzz, no heavy money pressure, just go play ball. Turns out, St. Justy confident and loose is really good. Could we have created that in DC? Probably not with the heat that comes with this city, this fan base. This history. Here's the hard truth. Sometimes the best move for both sides is a split. St. Justy needed a fresh beginning, and the Commanders needed roster flexibility. Both sides got what they needed. Still, those numbers hurt. It stings to think what could have been. With a corner holding quarterbacks to a 43.1 rating, this defense would look much better. Let's compare with how other teams handle the same kind of thing. The Eagles let Jordan Davis go for a bit and realized their mistake, brought him back. The Cowboys let Byron Jones walk and missed him for years. Giants let go of Landon Collins and regretted it. Point is, every team makes these mistakes. The difference is in how you learn from them. What I want to see from Washington is that we learn from the St. Justy story. Understand that growing young players is everything. That sometimes you stick it out with your talent. Because here's the brutal fact of the NFL, it's easier to keep your own talent than replace it. Cheaper too. If you give up on young guys only to watch them turn into stars somewhere else, that's a double loss. But I have to be fair, it's not like we're letting Hall of Famers walk. St. Justy was spotty when he was here. Nobody saw this coming. You can't build a roster off what-ifs. What we need is a better process for evaluating, developing, and maximizing every player on the roster. If we can become the place that grows talent every time, then letting go of a guy like St. Justy becomes way less of a big deal. So here's my final question. Do you trust Adam Peters to learn from all this? When we've got another young corner with upside, do you believe the team will do everything to bring out their best before moving on? Because that is what tells us if this culture really is changing, or if we'll keep being the team that watches young talent break out after they leave. There is young talent on this Washington roster right now. We've got guys in the same boat as St. Justy was last year. The question is, are we gonna learn or repeat the same cycle? Do you trust Adam Peters to get the big calls right from now on? Commanders, we broke down 3 massive stories. Joe Witt Jr. is putting together a game plan for the Caleb Williams showdown on Monday Night Football. St. Justy is balling out in Minnesota with elite numbers, and we've asked the hard questions about how this team evaluates and grows talent. How do you feel about Witt Jr.'s preparation for Caleb Williams? Think our defense is up for it? Was it a mistake letting Benjamin St. Justy walk, or are you cool with the secondary we have now? Are you confident Adam Peters is building this squad the right way, learning from the screw-ups of the past? Drop all your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you're with me, think I'm nuts, or have a totally different take. Because that's what makes this community special: the debate, the passion, the family we've created here. If you got value from this, learned something new, or saw things in a way you hadn't before, smash the like button. If you want to stick with this family, stay up to date with everything Commanders. Subscribe to the channel now. Tomorrow, we've got even more breaking content. We are family here. We are Commanders Nation, and together we're gonna ride with this team through the highs and the lows, breaking down every move, every call, every game. Because that's what we do. That's who we are. And remember, hail to the Redskins.